So now for this scenario, we're just going to isolate on working on certain defensive tactics. So usually with situations like this, you always want to let your partner know what you're doing and what they should be doing, so that way you can get better as opposed to just getting punched. So I suck at my jab defense. So I want Malcolm to primarily throw jabs at me, so that way I can work on catching his jab or slipping his jab. So if he's primarily throwing jabs at me, just going to work on catching that jab or slipping that jab. That way, I could just get better at slipping it. Now, one thing that he can do in order to catch me off guard is he can work on doubling up his jab. So I'm thinking I'm getting comfortable with the cadence of just one jab at a time. Then he doubles up the jab just to keep me on my toes, to keep me honest. But again, it's the same thing. I'm aware of what's going on. So he's throwing a single jab at me. So I have to be aware of what's going on. And if you're working with a partner that you trust, you're working with a sparring partner that you know is not going to try to take cheap shots, things like that, they can be comfortable with just throwing in a quick cross in just to catch you off guard a little bit, just to keep you aware of what's going on. A lot of times in sparring, you can sometimes get too comfortable with doing one thing. When it comes time for the fight, you might also have that same mentality. So always try to be aware of who you're sparring with. Once you got to find a good sparring partner that you can comfortably work with, that you know is going to help you get better, it's kind of one of the best scenarios that you could possibly have. And that's what it is, just to work on catching jabs, slipping jabs, situations like that. We use the jab as an example, but you can pretty much do this with all different types of strikes. You can work on this just catching hooks to the body. You can work on this slipping crosses. You can work on this slipping multiple shots, just getting your head movement in there. You can do this with every single type of offensive shot coming at you. There's a certain defense for it as well.